It's time for this week's episode of Brandon Sports Talk, featuring in-depth interviews from those who are trending in the world of athletics. And now, here's the host of Brandon Sports Talk, Brandon Pate.
Welcome back to Brandon Sports Talk. In today's episode, I have the privilege to interview the Anna Marie College ESports head ESports coach, Coach Zachary Gandara. How are you doing today?
Pretty good. Thank you for having me, Brandon.
I'm doing good. Can you talk about how you knew that you wanted to get started in coaching in college esports?
Sure. Yeah. I played Counter-Strike for Providence College as an undergrad, and getting to compete was really important to me, and it was really fun. And the times that you can have with your team is, as anybody that's been on a sports team before knows, it's not like anything else. And after college, I went to play professionally. So for a few months, I did the best I could, and I made it onto, in esports terms, it's called an academy team. So the big professional teams will have, tier 2, tier 3 teams that are attached to the org called academies. It's like the equivalent of a feeder team, like AAA or AA in baseball, before moving up to the major league. So I got onto one of those teams and, played for a little while, realized that, maybe my cap wasn't as high as some players. So I got out of that and went back. I wanted to stay in esports. It was something I knew, it was something I loved. And I thought that I could be a pretty good coach. So I went back to PC, become their director, and got a master's degree and started coaching and teaching and doing all of that there.
Of course, what was that experience like getting to play esports in college, going to Providence College?
It was really fun. I was there before we had an official program. So I was part of the moving and shaking to create it, and get that program off the ground. And it was really neat seeing everybody come together to push something forward that we all wanted. And competing at a national level, so quickly. We got to play against some of the best schools in the country, and it was a really, really fun time, and got to form friendships that last me to this day. One of my assistant coaches right now I went to college with, and he eventually played for me when I came back as a director. And now it's been a very positive experience for sure.
As a collegiate athlete, what was that experience like getting to put on that esports uniform?
Oh, well, PC especially has such a huge, school pride and pep behind it, that it was really fun getting to rep the school. Having the Friar head on my jersey was, I was so proud to be there as a representative and competitor for our school and our team. We went to some pretty big events, and it was just really, really neat getting to represent the school and, in something that we love doing.
Of course, leaving Providence, what was that like going professionally and getting into the Academy of Esports?
So it was a lot of work, obviously. I was playing a ton. I was playing in Counter-Strike, your play time is measured in 2 weeks. So I was putting in between 110 to 120 hours every 2 weeks. So, 55 to 60 hours a week. It was a lot. And, I loved it, and I really wanted to be competitive. So I did it. And, as soon as I got there, I made that team, and I got to play in my first professional tournament. I felt like all that weight, everything that I'd been doing up to that point, just like it went off of me. I was like, I made it. I did what I accomplished, and I was done. So even though I'd made it to that point, I felt like I was done, even though I wasn't. And so I slowed down. I didn't train as hard, and I realized, the chase was more than the chase is what I wanted. The ability to prove to myself that I was good enough. And once I did that, I was like, okay, I did this. I'm ready to go teach other people how to do it now. I didn't have, I don't think, the drive to become one of the best. I don't think I had the natural talent either. I'm not going to pretend like I did, but that's all right.
Of course, what was that experience like getting to call yourself a professional esports and getting to compete professionally?
It was one of the coolest things. I didn't do it for super long, but, having my friends, tweet that I was playing in a tournament saying, go, check this out, Zach's doing this. I was proud of myself. I was excited for what the future held. It was, like I said, it was just the culmination of all that hard work that I put in for years. So just making it even to the academy level was like a dream come true.
After obviously competing on the academy level professionally, what was that like transitioning and getting into college coaching esports?
I don't think I had that difficult of a time transitioning, because I made the choice myself. I wasn't cut. I realized one day, I was playing in a tournament, and we were just getting absolutely destroyed. We were getting dogged on, and I was playing okay, but I realized there's always going to be people that are better than me, and I'm not even at the highest level yet. I'm getting destroyed. Maybe this isn't. I accomplished my goal. I decided now's the time to move on while I'm still happy with it, so that I didn't grow to hate something that I loved. So it just seemed like the next evolution to me. I got to teach new people what to do, and through my experience, help them to grow and become better. So I loved transitioning into coaching. It was it felt really natural and right to me.
Of course, getting to coach collegiately, what was that like returning back to your alma mater of Providence and getting to
Oh, I loved
become
it.
the director?
I loved it. I didn't start as the director, but my mentor at the time in the collegiate scene was Aaron Koliakimo. He's now the assistant director. He's the assistant director at Fisher College, which is one of the premier esports colleges in the country right now. And I learned a lot from the way that he ran that program. And when I became the director, I tried to keep a lot of the the good stuff that he had implemented. So it was really cool. The school pride was fantastic, and being able to come back. I wasn't out for very long, so a lot of the people that I knew were still there. So I got to have a pretty good time.
Of course, what was that feeling like coming back to your alma mater and seeing those players that you played with and now getting to become the director and helping lead them?
It was a little different, because they're obviously not going to have the same respect for you that they might have if you were a completely unknown entity. But they did a good job. They listened, and really we just had a good time because we had that trust already built. We had that friendship. That teammates to coach. It wasn't difficult really. We had a good time.
What were some of the things that you accomplished at Providence under the director of esports?
Yeah, so we made quite a few playoffs. I think it was something like 16 playoffs. In collegiate esports, we have 2 splits, and the points that you accrue based on your regular season finish and your conference tournaments each semester give you points, and they add that from the fall split and the spring split for nationals in the summer. That structure wasn't fully there yet while I was at Providence, but so with the 2 splits, we made somewhere around 16 playoffs, and we won 2 conference championships in Hearthstone. So that was really cool. I was very proud of those guys.
How was that transition from going from your alma mater of Providence to now Anna Marie College and becoming the head esports coach there?
It was a little different. At Providence, we were under student affairs, not athletics. But when I came over to Anna Maria, we were under athletics. So it was neat to have that backing from the athletic program for sure. A different school always brings different challenges, getting to know the atmosphere and the people, because with Providence, I didn't have that, difficulty. I was already there, so I knew it. Coming to Anna Maria was, I had to learn some. It took me a few months to get adjusted, but no, it was really positive. All the people are fantastic. They really supported the program and supported me, so I couldn't be happier. It's been a great place.
Of course, what are some similarities and differences between student-led esports and athletic esports?
Yeah, so the student-led is tough because without having a dedicated coordinator or director and having the backing of the program, it can be tough to recruit and to get allowances to do certain things like travel or stay on during the summer for the national tournament. So it's a lot more like a club at that when it's not under either athletics or its own department. We started under athletics to get me a base here in Anna Maria and get everything built out. And then once we started going, we've actually transitioned into our own department. So now it runs pretty well, and I get to push it forward in new ways every day. So it's been really positive, I think.
What does a typical game day look like at Anna Marie College for esports?
Sure. So most of our games are played in the evening. We have, like I said, we have 4 teams that competed this year, and each one played in 2 of them played in 3 leagues and 2 of them played in 2 leagues. So we had 12 games a week. So what it looked like was, in the morning, the kids would get up, they'd go to school. Well, a lot of them would go to lift first. There would be team lifts in the morning, particularly for those that were double sport athletes and played on the football team. Then they would go to class, do all their daily stuff, do homework. And then around 5, 6 o'clock, they'd come into the room, start warming up, go get dinner, come back. And our facility is pretty new, but we'd have matches 6 to 8 o'clock, depending on what time they started. And, they'd have to do all of their responsibilities, school, work, everything would have to be done before they came to the room, because we're going to be going so long, absolutely killing it in the room late at night. So,
of course, can you talk about your esports facility and what you have and what it offers?
Sure. Yeah. So we partnered with Alienware, Dell's gaming brand, last summer to, start the production of figuring out what a new esports facility would look like at Anna Maria. And what we ended up with is a 12 PC, esports training center, and everything is done by Alienware. The PCs, monitors, peripherals, chairs, everything's Alienware in there. Everything's been built out in Anna Maria colors. We've got big old RGB LED signs, big whiteboard. It's really functional, but it's also fun because it's not just the field, it's also the locker room and the team clubhouse. is everything to these guys. So there's a couch in there. There's the RGBs that go around the whiteboard. We've tried to make it feel homey, but at the same time, we're there to work.
Of course, who are some of the teams that you face in esports at Anna Marie?
Yeah, so I mean, we've played local schools like Nichols. We got to play an in-person LAN event at a local arena against Nichols. But we've also played big schools like Ole Miss. We've played, we played Fisher once. We've played Southwestern Oklahoma. It's Texas Rio Grande. There's all of these schools. West Virginia, we even played once. All these schools throughout the country. The divisions are kind of different in esports than they are in traditional NCAA. So we get to play anybody, which is, it's really special to come from a place like Anna Maria and play against Ole Miss or Alabama. Most of the kids would never get that opportunity, and no matter what sport you play. So it's really neat that you get to represent your school, your alma mater, against some of those big schools that you see on TV all the time.
Of course, what is that experience like getting to play, as you said, in a facility versus playing online, playing against teams like Talladega College?
Sure. Yeah. Talladega's great. Playing in person there's nothing like it. It is such a better experience than playing online, right? So yeah, you could play online, but being able to look to that teammate next to you, look to the one to your left, give them a fist bumps after every round, hype everybody up. And, after something bad happens, say, guys, no, don't worry. We got this. Having me right behind them, call a timeout. Let's talk about what just happened. It really fosters that team environment and pushes it into what I consider to, be more like a sport. Because when you're just playing at the computer, even if you're playing competitively by yourself, it's not the same. So having your teammates next to you really makes a huge difference.
Of course, what sports do you play in esports?
So this semester we competed in 4. We competed in Overwatch, Rainbow Six Siege, Super Smash Bros, and Call of Duty. We want to add games like Valorant and League of Legends and Dota and all the other Counter-Strike, of course, with my background in it. We want to add as many as we can, but we have to go slowly and grow the program naturally. And, I'd rather have 4 games that we can do really well at than 17 that we suck at. So we'll grow it as we go and, see how we do.
What is the difference, obviously, in playing esports games versus regular video games like your FIFA, your Madden, your 2K?
Sure. Well, with esports games, they are inherently competitive, and the sports games are as well. But with all of these esports that I've been talking about, you have 5 people. You're 2 guys to your left, you're 2 guys to your right, and everything you do in real time affects the 5 people on the other side of the server in another state, even or next to you if you're playing in person. So if you get a point, they don't get a point. So everything that happens is you're maneuvering to try and beat your opponent, just like basketball or chess. I feel like it's a combination of traditional sports and chess, where you're working on your overall strategy to push together for one climactic moment, but at the same time, there is a physical element where if you're just better, you're better.
As an esports coach, what is it like getting to play the computer games versus the game controller games?
So most titles are played on keyboard and mouse, with a few exceptions like Rocket League and Call of Duty and fighting games. But most are played keyboard mouse. As a Counter-Strike player, I've always been keyboard mouse. I'm not very good at the controller. It's just different. Different styles of games require different things. So I've had to teach people how to use keyboard mouse and transition from controller over, because controller tends to be a more casual player base and style of game than a lot of the games like League and Rainbow Six.
Of course, how do you broadcast the Anna Marie College esports games?
So we stream everything to Twitch. Our Twitch is twitch.tv/amcat_esports. So every game is there, unless we don't get the rights to stream it. Sometimes that happens. Sometimes the other school gets the rights or the league gets the rights, but that's fine. But 90% of our games are streamed on our channel.
What is that like, obviously, getting to broadcast through Twitch and having your audience see y'all play versus not being able to see y'all play?
Well, it's fantastic for recruiting and for the families of these players. So they want to watch their kids, and if it was football, they'd get to come in person and sit down in the stands. And when we play in-person matches, they'll do that too. But being able to sit at home and watch your kid's game, even if you're states away, it's fantastic. So the parents love it. When we're recruiting, I send the link over to all of our recruits and say, hey, check out our team. We're playing East Stroudsburg today. Let's go AmCats. So it's great to have them in the chat, all talking with each other and watching our games.
What is that like, obviously, getting to play different esports games versus playing open league?
So open division, it's open to anybody in the continent, right? So you could be 35. You could have already gone to college. You could be a 16-year-old that's in high school still. Open division is a great way to get into competitive esports, but the college division, I like it more personally because you're playing for more than just trying to win. You're playing for your school's pride. You're playing for your school's pride. You're playing for spirit. You're playing to make a name for yourself, your region, the place you love, your friends. And I think it adds an extra element of competitiveness when you know your opponent, when you know you're playing against Howard, when you know you're playing against Villanova, you're playing against people that you already have a rivalry with. Some of these schools will play them 3-4 times in a semester or a year. And it's neat to get to play the same people and know that rivalry that we've had for a few years or a few months, however long it's been.
What is that like, obviously, getting to play in those big tournament games where you have big teams like Villanova, Vanderbilt, and Florida playing those big NCAA?
No, it's really cool because Anna Maria doesn't normally get to play against that division, right? So, they'll never know who Anna Maria is if it was outside of esports. But esports comes in, we get to compete on equal footing, and we get to beat a lot of those teams. And it just brings that extra level of awareness and pride. And, says, hey, we're here. We're on the map. And if you don't think about us, we're going to beat you. So you better give us the best you can.
Of course, for your players, what is that like getting to play in those Madden 2K games that aren't tournament based?
Oh, well, they do it for fun. Of course, they'll sit in the room, they'll play Madden together, just hanging out after a match or, on a random Tuesday when they've got not much going on, homework's done, practice isn't for a few more hours. Yeah, they'll just chill there and play some games. It's a good way to unwind.
Of course, what does that recruitment process look like for those prospective esports athletes?
Well, there's a couple pipelines to get to collegiate. You could, of course, play through open division, maybe make contenders or a G League and see just how good you are. You make a name for yourself, have schools reach out to you. But there's also the pipeline out of high school, because we're seeing a lot more high school leagues get developed through Play Versus and a few others. So there is some recruiting out of high school, but there's also, at least my recruiting, I do a lot of transfers and a lot of students that maybe didn't go to college but want to return to school. So, I'll go for different recruiting platforms, or we've got an agent that most of these kids have that will reach out, send us people that he thinks are potential fits. So then I'll talk to them. And, we look for good players, but we also look for good students and good people all around.
As a head coach, what are some of the things that you look at in those prospective student athletes when out on the road recruiting them?
So biggest thing is mentality, right? So if I'm watching, like this weekend, I'm going to the Hartford Road to College, which is a big event through Stay Plugged In that shows high school students. It shows people maybe in community college or in other places that want to go back to college, and they all come to one place. They play a big tournament. And if I see an amazing player that's just absolutely killing it in the server, but he's yelling at his team the whole time, I don't want him. I want somebody that's able to keep their head, because our matches take a while. We have best of fives, best of sevens. You can be in that room for 5 hours with your team trying to, beat another team. If you don't have the mental stability, if you don't have the mental fortitude to push through that, you're going to have a hard time. So you could be the best in the world, but I want you to have mental fortitude.
As a head coach, what are some of the things that you're doing to prepare those players when you do have those long competition days, like the 5 to 6 hour?
Yeah. So one thing that I did that I don't think a ton of schools do is I put them into every tournament or every league I could this semester. So with those 3 leagues, they were playing in matches every day. So we were building their endurance through playing, because, a joke I always say is everybody says, practice like you play. Well, how about we play like we play? So instead of practicing for 2 hours where they know it's practice, they know it's just a scrimmage. Like, as hard as you may try, in the back of your mind, it doesn't matter. It's a scrimmage. So I put them into matches against teams that they could never, ever stand against through the ECAC, because ECAC is, I said, it's just one big conference, right? So everybody plays together. There's no divisions. You could play against the worst team in the country one day and the best team in the country the next day. So you could play Maryville, you could play Northwood, you could play Fisher, and you get to practice against some of the best. So that's what I did. I just put them into a lot of competition to work on their endurance. But the other big thing is physical activity, because healthy body, healthy mind. And you have to have endurance physically in order to do it. So that's the big thing, is working out.
Of course, for those prospective student athletes, what does that official visit look like? And what does it look like showing them around your state-of-the-art facility at Anna Maria College?
Well, of course, we do. When students come up, we take them around. We do a whole tour. The student tour guides come with us and talk about this building and that building and everything that's available, and the clubs, and all the fun stuff that happens on campus, and we'll end over at the esports facility, my office, and show them, this is where you get to play. And not only that, but we have an arena downtown in downtown Worcester, the second biggest city in Massachusetts, where we get to come, and local schools that we play against, like Nichols or Holy Cross, or, all these Worcester schools can come and we'll have in-person matches, because there's not a ton of schools that get to do in-person matches. And, it's a really neat experience that I think every collegiate player, aspires to. So it's a neat thing. And that's what we like to show.
Of course, as a head coach, what is that like, showing them those opportunities that, like you said, not many schools have those in-person matches? So showing them the opportunities that they can have.
Well, it's fantastic because, I still think it's fun. I like my job. So, I get excited about it too. I'm like, hey guys, look at this. This is the sixth thing, isn't it? And seeing their eyes light up and their parents, looking confused, but at the same time interested, it's just fun because you get to bring joy and competition into somebody's life that may not otherwise have it.
As a head coach, what is it like seeing those freshmen put on that Anna Marie College esports uniform for the first time?
They get very excited. I think it's such a cool thing. And I agree. They work so hard and for so long. You spend your whole life playing video games at this point, the people that are doing it, that it's kind of like me hitting that G League, the academy level. It was the culmination of everything they've hoped for. They get to go to school and play competitively and represent their school and be with their team. So I love it.
Of course, what is that like, obviously, seeing those freshmen put it on for the first time and the seniors putting it on for the last time?
That's always bittersweet, right? Because you remember everything that's happened with the seniors, and you think back on the 4 years of, can't believe we've made it this far. It's been over in the blink of an eye, but they get to go out into the real world, and they've had a wonderful opportunity and a wonderful time with their teammates and friends that they'll have forever. So they keep up, and, we just have to try to go out on a bang, right?
Of course, as a head coach, how have you been able to use your experience in esports and playing esports professionally to then helping the future esports collegiate players know that they have that route to go play professionally?
Well, helping them learn and play competitively is one thing, because I know the tried and true methods. I've got some contacts like strength and conditioning coaches for different pro teams, and, people to come talk to the kids. I know how to practice. I know how to make you better. But as for going professional, we're not quite there yet with collegiate. Every once in a while, maybe a couple players every year will go pro, but it's not like the NFL where there's a draft and they take the best players, because, it's an international competition. If you're good enough to go pro at 16, some Finnish team is going to come sign you, or a Danish team is going to come get you. So oftentimes, and we're seeing a shift now, but for a while people saw collegiate as, like third tier, fourth tier of what could be considered competitive. But with the failure of academy teams this past year, it seems like, at least in America, we're going to see more collegiate students going pro and having them use collegiate as an academy setting. We'll know more as the sport progresses, but esports is still so new. It's only 20 years old, and in the history of sports, that is like born yesterday. So as leagues develop and as the NCAA may come in a few years and take over, I'm sure we'll see that change. But as of right now, it's not super common. You have to be truly an outstanding player to go professional from college.
What are some of your future plans for the Anna Marie College of Esports?
Well, so we're adding a couple academic programs to support it. We, of course, want to add computer science in the next few years, but we've also added cybersecurity, data analytics. These STEM fields are often what a lot of esports players are interested in, so that's been positive. We've also added an esports management minor to the undergrad program, and we're looking at adding a potential esports management concentration to our MBA program. We want to give these students everything that they need to succeed in the field they choose to go into after college. So we're definitely looking at, adding academic programs to support what those students' needs are. In regards to competition, of course, I want to become one of the best in the country, right? That's your goal. No matter where you are, you want to win. We've been doing very well this year in our divisions, and, we're still in nationals, so we are in contention to hopefully win our division. That would be fantastic, especially this first year at the gate. But it's about building a culture of success, a culture of hard work, a culture of academics and pushing yourself. And, we want to bring the best people here and the best, support that we can. So it's just about taking everything we have and upgrading it to the next level.
What advice would you give those people that are looking to play collegiate esports?
What advice?
Mm-hmm.
Well, if you're a high school student, I would say if you've got a club to get involved in at your campus, or if there's a team, try to get on that. But the biggest thing is, if you want to play collegiate esports, reach out to a coach. Their emails are all on the websites of whatever school you may want to go to. Go to the NACE website, go to the ECAC membership website. All of our contacts are there. Shoot me an email. I'll call you back. I'll email you back. That's your best way. Advocate for yourself. Just push for what you want. Say, I'm good enough. Trial me. Take a look at me. let me try out, please. I'm good enough. I want to do this. And 98% of the time, a coach is going to want to take a look at you just for pushing yourself forward like that.
What advice would you give those freshmen entering their first year of college esports?
Don't neglect your studies. We have GPA requirements just like regular sports. And if you fail your classes, you can't play. If you don't go to class, you can't practice. And if you can't practice, you can't play. So don't neglect your studies. You're a student athlete, student first. So go to class.
Of course, what advice would you give those college esports athletes looking to go play professional esports like you have?
Start with open division. Once you have that team together on your campus, I would suggest work at it with your campus team rather than trying to join a third party. Register outside of just the collegiate leagues, but if you want to do Counter-Strike, register for ESEA Open. If you want to do Valorant, join the tournaments in game. Just start competing as much as possible and practice the way that your coach recommends and do it. You have to look at it like a job, right? You're never going to make it if you don't fully commit yourself.
What advice would you give those collegiate athletes after their collegiate time looking to get into coaching esports or working for esports?
Get a GA job. So GA stands for graduate assistant. Go to another college that is hiring for an esports GA. Some schools have more than one. Some have just some where you act like a assistant director. Some are very specific, a stats GA or an Overwatch coach GA or very specific positions. But go through the discords with ECAC, NACE, NECC for the open positions and go get a master's degree. That's what you do as a GA. You get a master's degree, you live on campus or sometimes off, and you get to have a starting position in esports. I think that's the best way because if you want to coach in college, you need a master's degree anyway. So it's the perfect way to get your foot in the door and get some experience.
What advice would you give those future head coaches looking to build their own program and build their own legacy in esports?
Don't force a square peg in a round hole. Take a back seat for a moment, see what is available to you at your campus, what is there, and grow what is possible, what you see signs of growth in. So like I'm a Counter-Strike player, right? I would love to have a CS team. I don't have one right now. What I have is a fantastic Rainbow Six team because we had a couple of fantastic Rainbow Six players. So now you need to figure out the best way to help them grow instead of pushing for, you may be a League of Legends player, but instead of pushing for League, if you've got 3/5 of a fantastic Overwatch team, grab those 2 remaining players and push that. Go for League in a couple of years when you've got a base underneath of you.
That's great advice. Where can my listeners find you on social media along with the Anna Marie esports program?
Yeah, so our esports website is goamcats.edu, and along all the sports there, just do the drop down, find esports. You'll see our roster. You'll see our, all of our schedule and everything. Our Twitch is twitch.tv/amcat_esports. And our Twitter is, I think, the same, amcat_esports. So find us on Twitter. I'm at Edge, though, on Twitter, but that's pretty much it.
Thank you again, Coach Zachary, for your interview, and best of luck in your future as the Anna Marie College head esports coach.
Thank you very much. It's been a pleasure.
You can find Brandon Sports Talk on Instagram at Brandon Sports Talk, Twitter at Talk_Brandon, and you can find me on YouTube at Brandon Sports Talk. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you again, Coach Zachary Gandara, for your interview, and best of luck in your future.
Have a good one.
You've been watching Brandon Sports Talk. Please feel free to like, share, and subscribe to Brandon Sports Talk on social media and on YouTube.